This is Ridgeland High School. This school is home to hundreds of high school students. It supports all types of academic rigors, from STEM to AP, honors, and more. Inside, teachers all over the campus work hard to ensure that their students achieve academic success. This is Teachers on Planning, making copies. Hi, my name is Jerry Gutierrez. Today I'm visiting one of Ridgeland High School's favorite teachers. Someone who works as both a teacher and a full-time minister. He uses his speaking skills to bring life to his classroom. Join me as I find out more about Mr. Jackson.
Well, let me give you a little background as I started in teaching. Actually, I was a retail sales manager for a company called Genesco, based in Nashville, Tennessee, for a number of years. And I went into the ministry. I felt I was being called into the ministry because the ministry is not something that you just decide to do. You have to be called into that. And so after I accepted my call into the ministry, it was a conflict working retail and trying to also minister in terms of congregations because I had to work a lot on Sundays. So I started substitute teaching, and when I started substitute teaching, I realized that there was something missing in the school system. I was in the Atlanta, Georgia area in Gwinnett County, and I saw very few minority teachers at all. And so that sort of let a light underneath me to say, okay, let me go and see if this is something that I can do, because I've always enjoyed history. I just enjoy learning. And so I like being in school, but I really love history. One experience, I'll never forget it, I was subbing in a, what they call a behavior disorder class. So this was a class of kids who had issues, and they had to be separated in their own little small contained room, and they had some real serious issues at times. And so very few people would substitute in that class willingly. And the first time that I did it, I had no idea what it was like, but I went in and I had my expectations. I got a feel for the class from the beginning, and I adjusted in how I approached it because I realized these kids were different. But in the long run, they did what I expected them to do. My teacher that was adjacent to me, it was so strangely quiet because they were used to the class just being out of control, and she thought the class was gone somewhere. So she came around, are y'all in there? Because they were so quiet and they were working. And so she said, wow, what did you do to them? I said, anything to them. I just told them what I expected. They understood that I was serious about it. And so we got along fine. What I try to do is I try to embed personal life stories into my teaching format. Things that are real life things that I've gone through that I think are also somewhat fascinating. And students, for the most part, tend to see them as fascinating too. But I make a connection either with the lesson that we're learning or with some life lesson that I think they need to know about as well. Because if they think that all we're going to learn is a bunch of hypotheses or a bunch of theories, even in the Christian setting, in the church setting, you'll lose people. There has to be an application to it. And so therefore, that's where the stories come in, because I'm able to then incorporate real life stories. I don't have to, there's some of them are anecdotal, but I don't have to embellish. I don't have to make them up. These are things that actually happen. And then you'll be surprised as to how many people listen and they have similar experiences. That's one thing I was shocked about in the church setting, that I would reveal something as a way for them to get to know me better. One of my objectives was to show them that, first of all, I'm flawed. I'm not perfect. And I try to tell students that. Even though I love learning, I don't know everything. And I have students who, on certain topics, they know more about it than I do. And I love that because I can learn from them just as well as they learn from me. And that's exciting to me because I'm always learning. But I want them to see me as a real person, down to earth. I'm going to make mistakes. If I misspell something, point it out to me. No big deal. We correct it together. And that's part of the learning process as well, And I think when people can see that you're real, that you are authentic, that you're genuine, you can reach them a lot easier that way, whether it's church or at school. And my biggest goal is to try to leave an impression on kids to where they understand that social studies is really just a study of all of us. And you cannot avoid it. The kids that come to me and they hate social studies, right? And I said, why do you hate it? I said, but really, are you in social media? Are you on these different programs? Then you are involved in social studies even there. And there's a connection because all we're doing is we're learning about people. And people like you and I, people that made decisions, some good, some bad, some that made mistakes that we can learn from. And that's the whole idea of history, so you can learn where you came from in order to know where you're going as well, too. In our area, you know, we have a lot of challenges, especially on the socioeconomic level that we're in. The fact that I grew up, I always tell them this, I don't know if you remember this or not, I grew up poor. You know, take away that I was so poor that we couldn't afford the O and the R at the end, right? Because I did and didn't realize it, but that relates to a lot of students in the area to know that I'm not coming at them from some ivory tower. I actually experience a lot of what they are experiencing, and when you can reach them at that level, they know that there's some empathy there, you know, and I try to let them know if you need somebody to talk to confidentially within, you know, legal means, you can talk to me. And one thing you can be assured of, I'm not telling anybody unless it's something that I legally have to share, because there are some things that we have to, we are mandated reporters at the state calls, we would have to share. But other than those things, if it comes my way, you want somebody else to know it, it's not going to come from me. You got to tell somebody else. And the same way I do with the people at the church, they confide in me on a regular basis. Nobody will ever know what they share with me. You know, and I think that's good because then you develop this sense of trust, and that's important in educational or religious circle. People have got to know they can trust you before they'll open up and make themselves vulnerable.